That's all the statements collected. Let's run through them all to see if anything doesn't add up.
To see if anyone's been lying.
That too.
Fitz and I were up in the Moonlight Garden most of the afternoon. Then we heard this sound. Lasted about 3 seconds.
We thought it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there.
Her door was locked. Nobody was answering. So I made Fitz kick down the door.
Poppy and I went in. Freya was right there, laying on her back.
I left my tower and headed down towards the Grand Hall.
But in the hall, I spotted Uncle Pointer heading down the stairs. I vacated the library, but before I could begin my ascent, Professor Pointer appeared.
I didn't know what to do, so I ran downstairs to get Fifi.
I heard someone heading down the stairs, just outside my room.
Someone began banging on the door. I ignored it, until the someone began shouting at me.
Eventually, she let me in.
I spotted Detective Hawkshaw coming out of the library.
He emerged from the Pointer staircase, crossed the hall, and begun up the fellow staircase. As I was passing through the front door, Penelope called out from behind me. I inquired about the professor, and she told me he'd gone up the fellow tower.
I told her what had happened. She didn't believe me. She got angry.
I thought she was playing a trick on me, so I punched her in the face.
I recognized Fiona's voice as well as the voice of my own daughter.
We left the room, and Poppy's father was waiting outside. He followed us upstairs.
I ran up the stairs, hoping to catch up with him, but Felix appeared and blocked my path.
Back in the hallway, I bumped into a very concerned-looking Penelope. She was heading up Fellow Tower to find Professor Pointer, so I escorted her.
Poppy left the room for a while. When she came back, she had her father with her, and Fifi too.
Felix and Penny arrived shortly after we did.
A moment later, we were gazing down on the body of poor Freya.
Then, I took a sample of the red paint on the unfinished painting.
She took me down to the library. We were in there about 15 minutes.
I quickly decided that I should leave also. I took Penelope with me, and we both went back to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
I wanted to go back to my room, but I realized nobody had told Detective Hawkshaw anything.
An unremarkable hour passed before the gardener finally made his appearance.
I think she was annoyed about being made to wait outside so long. But when I told her about Freya, she fell silent.
That's disappointing.
What is?
All the statements line up with each other.
They don't just line up. Some of them even seem to specifically confirm each other. We know a little more about the crime scene now. So, what do you think? Was Freya stabbed by her own painting? I think you're right. Can't decide if I'm disappointed or relieved.
I have a question. Why?
Either it's a very strange coincidence, or somebody set it up.
Somebody deliberately put blood in the paint pot and hid that feather after the crime. Why? To distract us?
Possibly.
Well, it worked.
Possibly.
Flora's the only person who could have hidden the feather, unless someone took it from her.
Let's go over what we do know. The door was locked the whole time. It stayed locked until Fitz kicked it down. Normally, it can only be opened from the inside. Pointer said he couldn't see Freya from his telescope, but he did see Flora lying by the window.
So whatever got Freya got Flora too?
Except Flora survived. She didn't get a stab wound like Freya did.
Hold on. If there was no knife, then what did stab Freya?
It could be anything. It might not even be important.
How is it not important?
Right now, I'm less interested in the what, and more interested in the how.
The angle of Freya's wound suggests she was stabbed at a perfect right angle. That is, from directly in front of her. But she was standing right up by the canvas.
Somehow, Freya ended up lying on her back, still perfectly in line with a painting.
Maybe something went through it.
Through the painting? Wouldn't that leave a hole?
Okay, well, how about this? How do we know Freya was stabbed before she fell over? Maybe her being stabbed and her falling over are completely unrelated. All right, break out the notebook. Time to put it all together.
Let's start with this. It's an arrow for the crossbow, and it matches Freya's wound. It's the murder weapon. I'm sure of it.
Despite the fact it doesn't have any blood on it, and it wasn't found anywhere near the crime scene?
It was cleaned, then it was hidden. I don't think anybody expected us to get down to that room at the bottom of the lake.
Okay, so Freya was shot by a crossbow. Where was it fired from?
It was fired from above Freya.
Above, huh?
Yeah, our diagram doesn't show everything. Let's add in the rest of the crime scene.
The attic.
Perfect hiding place. We even found a part of the murder weapon up there. The reel was used to pull the arrow back up through the crack in the floorboards.
Explains why we never found a weapon at the crime scene, I guess.
The murderer must have dropped the reel in the attic. I'm guessing they were in a hurry to escape.
Wait. The arrow was fired through the crack in the floorboards?
Yeah, it's directly above where Freya was found lying on her back.
Nope. Doesn't add up. It would have missed her if she was still standing up by the painting.
Ah, right.
Unless Freya was already lying on her back before the arrow was fired.
I think so too. She'd fallen unconscious.
Something in the room caused Freya to fall unconscious.
The gramophone.
Right.
But the gramophone by itself can't do that.
There is something in the gramophone.
Something small. Pointer's research says it can emit an incredibly loud hiss when it feels threatened. Poppy and Fitz both said they heard a loud noise around the time of the murder. Neither of them had any idea what it was.
This seems a little far-fetched. Is it really loud enough to knock someone out?
No, I don't think so, not by itself. But don't forget, it was being amplified by the shape of the gramophone. Now, I don't think we're purely talking about volume either. It might just be a particular type of frequency.
This is getting kinda scientific. Since when do you know anything about the effects of weaponized audio frequency?
I don't, but I think someone else does. Do you remember that statue we found in the music room? The hornet's playing. It's a pretty similar shape to the one on the gramophone. That broken glass isn't there on accident. This is someone's science experiment.
Thinking about it, Pointer said he saw Flora was knocked out too. I guess they were both in range of the noise, although Pointer might have been lying.
Personally, I think he was telling the truth about that. It's pretty clear a powerful frequency did pass through Flora's tower, caused quite a bit of damage. Those cracks didn't appear out of nowhere. Freya's paints, the pink cassette tape, and the gramophone itself, they all sustained similar damage while they were in that room.
That's some seriously powerful vibration, enough to crack metal, enough to knock someone out all the way across a room.
Yeah, that's the one thing I don't get. If the frequency was so powerful and had such a big range, how did the murderer pull it off? Wouldn't they have been in range too? Think about it. They can't have been much further away from the gramophone than Flora was.
Protected themselves.
How?
These are some pretty heavy-duty earmuffs. I think they'd be enough to block out the sound.
Right. Let's go over everything from the start. 1. Freya is painting Flora's portrait. They're listening to music on the gramophone.
2. The murderer is hiding in the attic, wearing earmuffs.
3. The golden beetle starts to emit its hissing noise.
Hold on. How did it know?
The beetle?
Yeah, what triggered it at that particular moment? Pointer's research said it makes the noise when it feels threatened.
I'm not sure. Maybe something in the music?
Maybe.
4. Freya and Flora are both knocked unconscious by the vibrations. Freya lands on her back. She drops the brush and palette by her side.
5. The murderer fires the crossbow directly downwards.
6. The arrow is pulled back up on the reel.
7. The murderer leaves the attic, presumably.
8. The door is kicked down. Fitz and Poppy enter the room.
That's it.